What's the process look like to buy land? I imagine there's no Zillow for land, I think, where you can just
No,
go
there
on
there is,
oh, there
but
is.
I already had my real estate license, but the last piece of land we purchased, I actually used a real estate agent because um, what I learned was just because I had my real estate license didn't mean that I was really good with land. And that's what I'd recommend to anyone who's first starting out is go on to Google and actually look up a real estate agent that specifically deals in land. They're going to have the context, they're going to have the people that you need to talk to do the due diligence on the land and stuff. So I would say the process to find the land is finding a real estate agent that's very familiar with land purchases. The agent that I ended up using, like I just said, I have my real estate license, but he saved me so much money and time that the commission I would have gotten off of that piece of property it was nothing. And I'm going to continue to end up using him. So yeah, purchasing the land, that's how you go about. Due diligence is a big part. We're digging well, or we're drilling for wells where we live, just because they are in the mountains, and then we're also putting in septic systems. So just making sure that both you, your builder, and your agent sort of know the right people to make sure that that can be permitted properly. That's another thing to think about. But yeah, that's how I found my piece of land. My last couple pieces of land is using a land agent. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the permits? How do you, because I imagine if you just purchase, when you purchase a piece of land, does it already come with those permits, or do you need to request those with
Yeah,
the local
no,
authorities?
absolutely. No, so it's gonna be, obviously it's gonna be different everywhere. I would go on to your county website and sort of look up where your zoning laws are at, and sort of our zoning laws is only like 100 pages, which is nothing compared to like where I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, which is like thousands. But it I would look up those zoning laws. I would honestly, the people who work in these zoning departments, you can get you can get a hold of the person who's in charge pretty easily. Like I have a Zoom call scheduled with the person in charge of all the zoning next week, for the community that we're building next year. And the just sort of where we live, as long as it's 3 and under, you don't need like a vacation rental complex permit. It's not really a big deal to get that permit. But most of the time the permits do come with it, because it's the land that's zoned. As long as the land is zoned for short-term rentals, because short-term rentals are not like new, like they've been around for a while. It's just the way we get guests and the technology and stuff is the new stuff. um so yeah, I would say if you have any questions, just contact like your zoning department. I'm sure they'll help you. I know in the city here in Asheville, so all of our properties are in the county. They're not directly in the city. We did that one because Asheville was becoming very, very strict with vacation rentals. And if I was taking on a mortgage and sort of now taking on partners, I didn't really feel comfortable with sort of taking on that much money and that much risk with them potentially getting rid of vacation rentals in the city. So all of our properties are within 15 minutes of the city. And that actually worked out better for us, because when COVID hit, everyone got out of the cities and sort of wanted to be in the log cabins, the A-frames in the woods, and drive into the city. So for our city, that helped us a lot. So
Awesome. Let's dive a little bit deeper into what else do you need on the land. For example, there's got to be a road, right?
yeah, yeah. So,
Around.
so a really, and that's another good question. A really good thing that I like to file. So the last piece of property that we just purchased, which was like back in February, it was 3 acres. I looked at close to 100 properties online before I even went out to go look at the properties in person. Now, what I recommend to people who are sort of looking to do this remotely, and maybe they don't live in the city that they want to invest in, is I do recommend having some sort of boots on the ground when it comes to looking at the land. And the reason being is, right now I only purchase land that is connected to some sort of road, or if we have access to putting in some sort of road. The last two properties we built connected right up into a road. we had to put in, say, like a gravel, like a 2-lane gravel road to get up to the property. But when you start getting into like the bigger projects, say like 4 to 6, so like this year we're doing 4, next year we're doing 6, and say like the one that we're doing 6 next year has total, if all the properties are rented out for the day and they're it's max occupancy for each property, you're looking at 34 guests on your complex. So that's like maybe 12 to 15 cars that are driving in a day. So the having access to like some sort of state maintained road, it is very important. Now you can get pretty creative and get pretty good deals on properties that are like landlocked, but keep in mind, landlocked being like you can't get to them and say like your neighbors own the land next to it. I would sort of stay away from those if you're just starting off, just because you're gonna have to negotiate with the neighbor in some way. And I've dealt with that with the first piece of property I bought, and people are very touchy with their land, and I mean they have the right to. You're the new person coming into the neighborhood and blah blah blah. But yeah, when it comes to the road, right now I only invest in properties that, for the most part, have a direct access to the land, where the state maintained road is connected to the land, and then we will go in and put in some sort of gravel road. The way we find where to put that gravel road is we have a landslide consultant that sort of has, and this is sort of getting into the advanced stuff, but we have a landslide consultant that sort of has access to like satellite LiDAR data that sort of looks at the entire elevation of what the land that we purchase. And he's the person who will like place the houses and make a recommendation on where the road goes and stuff.